I would like to introduce you to Margareta Przybyła from Phage EU, who will talk about the recent phage-related activity in institutions of the European Union. So, Margareta, over to you.
Thank you, Ben, and hello, everybody. I think after this portion of scientific data, which was enlightening for me, I will provide you with some political science. So I hope it will be equally interesting. So my name is Margareta Przybyła. I am the EU Affairs Advisor of Phage EU and also the Brussels representative. And I will present to you today a bit what Phage EU is, what we are doing at European level. But I will also guide you through the recent political debate, especially with regards to AMR and how phages are being positioned in it. Next slide, please. So as Professor Dastych already said in the very beginning, Phage EU is, for the time being, an informal coalition of like-minded stakeholders who represent phages in industry, scientific community, and civil society. We want to realize the full potential of phages in Europe. And our mission is to make sure that European farmers have access to the phage technology, which is currently not the case. So in order to do this, in order to influence legislative and regulatory agenda at EU level, we are engaging with European institutions. We are engaging in awareness raising, advocacy, and political debate at EU level with regards to AMR, One Health approach, climate change, or farm to fork strategy. On this slide, you can see members of our coalition, and for more detailed information, we invite you to visit our website. Next slide, please. So in order to influence the EU agenda and facilitate the registration process of phage products, we need to engage with a number of EU institutions. As you can see on this slide, the EU institutional setup is quite complex, and this is why we decided to establish Phage EU in order to be able to come with one strong voice and put our messages through to EU decision makers. So let's start with the European Commission, which is a technocratic institution who has two very important competences. So on one side, the European Commission has the power of initiative, and it can put forward legislative proposals such as regulations and directives. And this is why it is vital to engage with Commission officials from various DGs, like the DG for Health and Food Safety, Agriculture, Internal Market, Research, and Innovation. On the other side, as Eleanor said, the Commission actually is taking the final decision on the registration process, for example, of phage products. And in this respect, the Commission is being supported by the Standing Committee on Plants, Animals, Food and Feed, which is composed of national representatives. Also within the registration process, the Commission is working closely with its agencies, with the European Food Safety Authority and European Medicines Agency. So this is why it is so vital to engage with all of them. On the other side, we have the European Parliament, which is the center of political debate in the European Union. Here we are engaging with members of the Parliament from different member states, and those members are sitting in various committees, like you can see here, the Environment Committee, a recently established subcommittee on public health, a committee on agriculture, or committee on internal markets. And the Parliament is not only co-deciding together with the Council on legislative proposals from the Commission, but the Parliament is also influencing the political agenda of the European Commission. So we have a link between those two institutions. And last but not least, we have Council of the European Union, where we have representatives of various member states. They also co-legislate together with the Parliament. They sit in various working groups. So it is also important to engage with them. So as you can see, all those institutions are interlinked, and it is really vital to engage with all of them. And again, we need a strong voice, and this is why we have established Phage EU. Next slide, please, Ben. So when we started engaging at EU level, we have realized that there is a very little awareness what phages are and what their potential is. And this is why we have decided that one of our main goal would be to raise awareness. And this is why back in February 2023, together with two members of the European Parliament from Poland and from Greece, we have decided to organize a scientific webinar in the European Parliament. It was a great opportunity to bring together on one side representatives of industry and scientific community, and to explain what phages are and what is their potential in animal husbandry. And on the other side, we have also managed to secure presence of representatives of EU decision makers, such as European Commission and European Parliament. So this webinar was a great opportunity for us to inform EU decision makers about phages, and also to enter into a dialogue with them. Next slide. So today we can see already results of our activities, and we see that more and more EU decision makers, including members of the European Parliament, are aware of phages and of their potential. Here you can see examples of 3 recent debates that took place in the European Parliament, in the Committee on Public Health, in the Committee for Agriculture, and again in the Committee on Public Health. In April, for example, in the Committee on Public Health, members of the Parliament were discussing the pharmaceutical package, and they have made clear that there is need for research and development into alternative treatments to fight AMR. And Michelle Rivasi, a French MEP who was actually present at the scientific webinar, she pointed directly at phages as a potential alternative that should be looked at. So here already we see results of our advocacy. Then also in April, MEPs were discussing in the Agri Committee together with European Commissioner for Health, and they have also made clear that there is a need for the Commission to step up its efforts to fight AMR. And actually the topic of reducing the use of antibiotics and the need to look for alternative treatments was raised by an MEP from Germany, Timo Wülken. And finally in May, MEPs were also discussing European Parliament resolution on the fight against AMR. And again, they made clear there is need for more research and development into alternative treatments. And here again, 2 MEPs, Michelle Rivasi and Timo Wülken from Germany, they again referred directly to bacteriophages as potential alternative solutions that need more attention. So as we can see, the awareness is rising. However, of course, a lot remains still to be done, so we continue our efforts. Next slide. Another example of another successful example actually of our activity at EU level is the recently adopted European Parliament resolution on the fight on EU action to combat antimicrobial resistance. This resolution was an initiative of the Public Health Committee, and as Phage EU, we have actually engaged into advocacy since the very beginning of the process, and we have engaged with members of the European Parliament. And this is how we managed to secure 3 very important messages from the European Parliament. So first of all, in its resolution, the Parliament confirmed that bacteriophages have considerable potential to become an affordable and effective tool for bacterial control as a potential alternative to or complement for antibiotic therapy. Second, and that's mostly important, the Parliament has also underlined that there is a need for appropriate regulatory framework for registering bacteriophages both as feed additives and as veterinary medicinal products, and that this should be prioritized. And third, again, they confirmed that there is a need to promote advanced research into new and old antimicrobials, as well as alternative treatments, including bacteriophages. And this resolution has been forwarded to the European Commission and to the Council for their consideration. Here on this slide, you can see like concrete quotes from the European Parliament resolution. I will not read it just for your convenience to see that. I mean, those key messages have been put into the European Parliament resolution. Next slide. So as you can see, the issue of AMR and the need of alternative treatment is raising importance, and not only in the European Parliament, but also in the Commission, and also partly due to the political influence from the European Parliament. So here again, you can see examples of 3 debates where the European Commissioner for Health, Stelios Kyriakides, took part. And for example, in April, when discussing with the European Parliament, she confirmed that AMR is high on the Commission agenda and that there is a need for coordinated efforts from member states to invest into research and development and to address the market failure. In April, when discussing with the Agri Committee, she underlined the need or the importance of the One Health approach. And again, here in the context of fighting with AMR, she underlined the need of animal well-being and animal health, which is a very important point. And finally, in June, during the plenary debate about the resolution, Commissioner referred directly to bacteriophages, and she confirmed that they will have their place in the pharmaceutical strategy that has been recently adopted, and that it should be possible to establish an adapted, tailor-made framework to take the specificities of phages products into account. So these are indeed some positive signals from the European Commission in the recent months. Next slide, please. Today we have been mentioning already the European Medicines Agency, so I just wanted to also to underline another important development, which is the guideline on quality, safety and efficacy of veterinary medicinal products, especially designed for phage therapy, that is being currently developed by EMA. So as phage products may be registered either as feed additives or veterinary medicinal products, ELA took an initiative to establish regulatory, technical and scientific requirements for registration of veterinary medicinal products designed for phage therapy. And we believe there are at least two important takeaways to be taken into account. First of all, I think Elinor mentioned this flexibility. So we are happy to see that EMA is recognizing that in case of phage products, flexibility is required to change or update components within authorized products due to resistant bacteria. And on the other side, we are happy to see that EMA is also inviting developers to enter into a dialogue with national and European authorities during the development process. Next slide, please. And as you remember, in the institutional setup, I have mentioned the Commission and its agencies, the European Parliament, but also Council of the European Union. So last but not least, we have been also observing recently very positive development at the Council side. So on 12 June, the Council member states have adopted Council recommendations on the fight against AMR. They haven't mentioned bacteriophages directly, but they made clear that there is a need to promote the development and use of innovative feed additives, also including feed additives to improve the physiological status of animals. And just following the adoption of those recommendations, the European Observatory on Health Systems and Policies, together with Swedish presidency, they have also published a policy brief to outline possible solutions to the challenges with regards to research and development for antibiotics and their reliable supplies. And bacteriophages have been recognized in this document as alternative treatment options. Next slide, please. So as you could have seen, there is a positive momentum in all the institutions, and phages are being more and more recognized by EU decision makers as part of the solution. So we need to keep this level of interest and raise awareness even more. In the coming months, there will be a few opportunities to bring phages back in the political discussion. The Commission has already announced at least three relevant initiatives for 2023. This will be the evaluation and revision of the existing animal welfare legislation, development of legislative framework of sustainable food systems, and review of the farm to fork strategy. And we believe that all of these initiatives will give us an opportunity to position phages as part of the solution when it comes to the well-being of animals, sustainable food production, and fight against AMR. Next slide, please. So finally, summary, some important takeaways. As I have explained in the very beginning, the EU institutional setup is complex, and in order to bring our messages through, we have decided to establish the phage EU in order to be able to engage with all EU institutions. The fight against antimicrobial resistance, but also the One Health approach, climate change, sustainability, food systems are gaining on importance in political agenda, and this gives us opportunities to bring phages into the political discussion. There is also a broad agreement among EU decision makers that we need more research and development into alternative treatments. More EU decision makers are aware of phages and their potential. And as Phage EU, we have managed to successfully raise their awareness, so bring the issue of bacteriophages into the EU agenda via our scientific webinar, but also through influencing the European Parliament resolution. We have seen recently some positive developments from EMA. And as I also have explained, the European Commission is planning relevant initiatives in the beginning, so we will have opportunity to keep the debate ongoing. So again, to sum up, we will continue our efforts, and you can actually also support our activities and strengthen the voice of the phage society by joining our Phage EU coalition. You can follow us on LinkedIn, you can follow us on Twitter, and after this webinar, I believe you will also receive information how to keep in contact with us and how to become potentially a member of Phage EU in the future. So thank you very much for your attention, and I stay at your disposal in case of any questions. Thank you very much.
Right, so thank you for that. It was a really interesting discussion or presentation on the complexity of the EU institutions. I know it's not easy to follow. There's a couple of questions in the chat coming in. One about how Phage EU is engaging, I guess, with different elements of phage possibilities. So for biocides in community and hospitals, or animal health, or other areas. Have Phage EU looked into that, or is this something that is open to Phage EU in the future?
Yeah, I mean, as I explained, for the time being, our aim is to really try to influence the legislative and regulatory environment in the EU. But I think for some, plans forward, what is our ambition also in the future, maybe also Professor Dastig can, reply in the concluding remarks, because it's again for the members of the Phage coalition to take decisions. So yeah, I think maybe Jarek could tell a bit more at the end.